Okay, we are live. Hi, everybody. Woo. Hi, everyone. Okay, so we made the technology work this time. I don't see any eyeballs yet on our little thing, but as you come in, just shoot us a comment, say hello. So I am Laura Lowy. I am the owner and founder of Backcountry Yoga, and I am one of the guides for this backpacking retreat to Yellowstone that many of you have been kind of paying attention to. We are coming on here today to talk about all the just different details and logistics and things like that that are going into this Yellowstone retreat. And then I'm going to let Lars and Sarah introduce themselves. So Lars, why don't you go first?
My name's Lars. I am one of the owners of Breakwater Expeditions. Breakwater is a small outfitting company based here in North Idaho, and we operate from Alaska to the Bahamas, and we got about 8 locations in between. And what we do is we customize backcountry experiences with schools, programs, and professionals like Laura, and to create amazing outdoor experiences, such as the Yellowstone National Park, which we're excited to collaborate with this year.
Yay!
My name is Sarah Clintworth, and I am a photographer. So I'm going to be kind of going along on the trip to just really help capture images that will help to communicate the message that Laura wants to tell everybody about what she provides, what these experiences are like, and to just provide some, I guess, potentially also some options for the participants to have some memories of their trip. So that's my job.
Cool. Yeah. Awesome. So we're just going to get right into it. And of course, as people start to say hello and log on, just comment and we'll answer any questions that you have. Say hello to us so we know who's here. We're not directly in Facebook, so there's a bit of a lag for us. So there might be 2-second lag for you guys when we answer your questions. But I'm just going to kind of dive in with our agenda of things that we want to talk about. So one of the questions that I've gotten a lot about are animals and specifically bears. So I just want to have Lars kind of go into what is the protocol, what is the experience out in Yellowstone, because I do so much here in New England, and grizzlies aren't something that I have to deal with as regularly as you.
Yeah, so I guess first things first, the coolest thing about Yellowstone National Park, I like to call it the Serengeti of North America. You see herds of buffalo, herds of elk, you see wolves, you hear the wolves at nighttime. It's a really unique place, and so we're going to see a lot of animals. Even like in the drive-in, you have all the road gawkers pull over and see all the buffalo on the side of the road and everything. But I guess more particularly with the bears, it is Yellowstone National Park. There are going to be bears, grizzly and black bear. And when being a bear country, we follow bear protocol, where we camp in one area, we cook in another area, and hang out in another area. So a triangle of sorts. We always hang our food at nighttime and all our smelly stuff. So the bears won't get tempted to come into our camp. But if they do come into our camp, they go right to all the smelly stuff. We do have bear mace we're carrying with us just in case as a precaution if we do see something and it does get a little too close for comfort. But, most likely if we do see a bear, probably off a distance, they'll be running away from us, and that's where we just sort of sit and enjoy and look at it and appreciate it. But, we always are bear aware, so to say, and just having that awareness is being, having our foot in the game already and being prepared for if a bear does come our way.
Awesome. I think that a lot of people get so scared of bears, and I think that a lot of times, right, it's like unless you shock one, you're coming around a curve and it's with the mom with the babies, right? Like it's not something that's as common as people kind of get into their own.
I mean, you hear stories, once in a while of these bear attacks, and there's these circumstances that were into that attack, whether it's defensive attack or predatory attack, but they're very uncommon in that manner. But as I said before, we take precautions when we're camping, to make sure that if a bear does come in, it doesn't come to us, it comes into our food, and we're away from that area.
And do we have any type of electric? I've been on before where they had like an electric bear fence. Do you know what I'm talking about?
Yep, we use the electric bear fences in Alaska, but in Yellowstone they actually have bear hangs on all the campsites, and so we'll be hanging our food at nighttime as opposed to hauling an electric fence and utilizing that. So it's nice that they have bear hangs in the campsites, which is fantastic.
Cool. Awesome.
Yeah.
Awesome. And then you kind of started talking about the campsites. So why don't we just go right into how this is all structured and the different campsites that we'll be staying at and the structure of the backpacking itself.
Yeah, so when we leave the trailhead, we've got about 5-6 mile hike into the first campground, and for the most part, we'll be traveling along the Snake River right there. And so, being parallel to the river, there's not going to be many ups and downs. It's going to be almost like flat walking. We will transition over to another area of another river, and there will be a little bit up and down there. But for the most part, the hiking is going to be pretty tame. But the mileage itself will be averaging about 5-6 miles a day. The last day, since we're going to be skipping a campsite, we will be doing 10 miles in the hike out, and that'll be a good long push. But it's the last day of the trip, and all our food will be eaten, so we'll have lighter packs and feel pretty confident. But for the campsites, they're going to be all along. We're going to be next to water the whole time we're there, whether it be on a river or by a lake. And one of our days, we do have a layover day, so we won't be waking up and packing things up. We'll be maybe sleeping in a little bit, taking our time, relaxing, rejuvenating ourselves, and go for a day hike to Heart Lake, which is a bigger lake inside the park, and checking that area out as well too. So, but the campgrounds, they're nice little, quaint little campgrounds. They're fantastic. They're well placed. It's in the backcountry, so you rarely see anyone back there, which is nice. Once you get off the pavement, and the road less traveled, you start seeing less and less people. It's going to be fantastic. You'll truly get a backcountry experience.
Yeah, and what people can do is they can bring little tiny little backpacks if they want to have that like little tiny extra ounce of weight, where you can take a little day pack instead when we go and do that layover day and go for a hike. Or if we have brains on our packs, we can kind of take that.
A lot of packs nowadays, you can just take off the brain and use it as a little day pack. Yeah. But also, I know like Patagonia, Marmot, they make these real super compactable, backpacks. They just, really compact, and you can they don't weigh much at all, and you can throw that into your pack as well too.
Yeah, and the elevation gain is going to be so gradual that I think a lot of people have been concerned about how heavy the packs are going to be, and I think that the weight of the pack is in some ways going to be more of the challenge than the hiking. But with the packs that we're going to be using, a properly fit pack just kind of melts into your body. I kind of say it's like you're wearing like a weighted suit, like it's basically blurs into your body. And I know that you guys will be providing gear for anybody who doesn't have are you thinking we're going to use probably 90-liter packs for this?
It's 90 liters. It's a fantastic size. I've gotten away with people using 65 liters. If people are coming on the trip and they have something that's less than 65 liters, we'll probably end up, giving you guys a pack, to utilize because it's bigger. And talking about the weight of the pack, people are like, how much will the packs weigh? You guesstimate anywhere from 45 to 65 pounds. And I know that's a 20-pound discrepancy, but that 20-pound discrepancy is like what people want to bring. It's like, do they want to bring that hardcover book that they want to finish reading on the trail, or do they want to bring extra this or extra that? So it all depends on how much people want to bring personally, besides the essentials that we'll bring, the essentials being food, water, shelter, clothing.
And I know, Sarah, you're going to have some of your photography gear as well. Do you have any that are your absolute bring in your pack and leave home, since you have to work a little bit more weight?
Well, I mean, the first thing would be I'm going to have to bring like a solar charger, which is actually something that I've been wanting to upgrade. And so I'm going to be doing some shopping around to find like the best one, because it's not, I want to get something as lightweight as possible, but it also needs to work really well, because obviously that's important. You know, I have 2 camera bodies that I'm going to bring, because you definitely don't want to go on a trip like this with only one. So that's going to be, those are definitely my non-negotiables. Water filter, you know, something to purify water, obviously. I'm a pretty low maintenance person when it comes to traveling, so I'll probably go light on the clothing, you know, at least a warm layer, but probably pretty low on that.
Yeah.
But I am a reader, so I will probably bring a book too.
Yeah, I really it's so much about what you choose. I always bring a backpacking pillow. Like, that's my non-negotiable. I know I could use a coat, but it comes with me every time. It makes a big difference.
Yeah. I use my stuff sacks and I put my clothes. Like, I use my clothing and a stuff sack as my pillow, because I love to have a pillow. I can't not have a pillow. So that's become kind of my go-to when I'm trying to go really light. I just use my clothes.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Yeah. And so a lot of times, right, so the base weight of your pack, that's what you're trying to get as low as possible. And so when people talk about ultralight backpacking and things like that, right, like they have base weights of their packs that are, I don't know, 10 pounds, which is kind of wild.
Yeah,
Ultralight, they can.
The ultralight people, they saw off the edge of their, you know, toothbrush to, you know, get the ounces up.
Yeah. Or drill holes in the handles, and yeah.
Yeah, so if anybody wants to come on this trip and go ultralight, please let us know that's your intention, so that we can talk about what is the non-negotiable parts of what you're bringing.
Well said.
Some extra layers. We're not going to bivvy every night. And so then thinking about also, you know, we're going to be breaking up into camping groups, and people are going to be sharing gear and then also helping share and carrying group gear. So we'll, based on who is signed up, we'll assign people to tents, and we carry less weight the more people we put in a tent. So, you know, and so and then also people will be carrying group gear and group food and things like that. So not everybody's gonna have their own individual stuff. So just people, make sure that you guys, if you're tuning in or, you know, you're watching this later, thinking about that when we're hiking and we're backpacking as a group, it is so much about that team mentality, about what we're carrying. It's not just your stuff.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yep. Which makes it awesome, actually. So much easier that way, because then you do have, if everybody doesn't carry their own tent, then you have that extra space or weight for like your book or your journal or whatever it is. So
right, one person has the tent poles, the other person has the tent, and you know, somebody has the pan, and it totally makes it. And then also when you're thinking about the weight of your pack, it's in relation to your size and your body weight. So just because you're, you know, a really strong person doesn't mean that you should be necessarily carrying more weight than someone else. Or, you know, we're slowly, you know, people are getting away from thinking like guys carry more weight than girls, right? Finally, everyone realizes we're all equal, but in the end, it's based on your size. So when people are sharing and distributing that weight, we want to make sure that somebody isn't super overcompensating because their ego is like, well, I should be carrying more. Yeah. Cool. So then thinking about our daily routine, we talked about what the hiking will be like. I know that, you know, we have permits at different camping locations, daily routine. So I know, you know, we'll wake up, we'll do some yoga, and, you know, cook breakfast together. Lars, you want to kind of talk a little bit more about that?
Yeah, so, you know, being a backcountry trip, this is going to have an expedition-based style model where, you know, every morning we're packing up and moving from point A to point B and doing the same thing, you know, the next day, minus the day we have a layover day. And so we'll get into routine, where, as you said before, we'll wake up, we'll move into our yoga, then go to our breakfast, take down our camp, pack our stuff up, and then hit the trail, and then while we're on the trail, we'll stop, take breaks, water breaks, hydrate, if it's a hot day, sit in the sun, cool down a little bit, have lunch, and then, slowly make our way to the next camp. And when we get to the camp, it's take off the hiking boots, put on the camp shoes, relax a little bit, enjoy your new surroundings, set up camp, find your little place you want to call home for the night, and we'll slowly get into our evening routine where we'll make our dinner, we'll have our discussions around the campfire, if they allow us to have a campfire. Some places are campfire free, so to say, or there might be a fire ban, but we'll find out when that time comes. But and then we'll wake up the next morning and do it all over again.
So Susan is asking, is there coffee?
Of course, Susan, there is.
That's a great question.
I don't want to have a mutiny on our hands if there was any coffee. So
I'm bringing my coffee. I don't go without coffee.
It's a backcountry sacred ceremony.
Yes.
I've learned 2 things: coffee and chocolate. Those are the things that we need to bring to make people happy.
Yes.
Yes. And then I'm wondering, at the campsites, are there designated fire areas, or we're going to be fire free for the whole time?
Each site's different, and some sites will allow fires, and some sites there will not be allowed fires. And the ones that we have fires, there will be a fire pit that will, a sacrifice site that I call, is that it's been used. We're going to use it right there. We're not going to create a new fire pit on our own. And so when we're allowed to have a fire, we'll be having a fire pit there. When we're not, then we'll just be, it's cold camping.
Yeah, and I feel like that's a common misconception that people have around backpacking, right? I feel like we all see that picture of us with camp, with tents and fires, and that's usually car camping. A lot of times you aren't necessarily having fires, you're using your gas stove. Of course, it depends on where you are, but.
Exactly. At Yellowstone, they have, various rules, for backcountry use in the various sites that there are, depending on usage and everything. And, it also depends on if there's a fire ban, a statewide fire ban, so there's a lot of elements that go into consideration if we can have a fire or not.
Yeah.
Excuse me.
Susan,
one thing I think is also super nice for if you can't have a fire, but you want like a little bit of ambiance, is those little solar charging lantern lights. I have one of those. I really like it. It's it's not quite the same quality of light, but those are pretty awesome for just being able to sit around and still have some like dim lighting, so you don't feel like you're just sitting in the dark trying to talk or hang out. So and they're light.
I drink the Kool-Aid on those little lights. More and more people are bringing those out on trips, and they're super cool. They compact down to nothing, and they charge up like that, and they do give a nice little ambient light. And especially if you're in your tent, you just hang it in your tent. And I drank Kool-Aid on those. Those things are fantastic.
They also, so this is actually something I should have mentioned in my have to have. Mine also has a USB charging port, so you can charge some things off of them. They're not like heavy duty for that, but they do work. So
cool.
Yeah,
I'll say that I have some of those little lights, and that's one of my other things that I tend to usually excuse for weight, and I bring, because it is fun to have little lights in your tent rather than just one lantern or your headlamp or something. Let's see. So Susan has another question. She asked, what are the average temps day and night?
So we're looking probably at highs in the 70s and 80s and lows in the 50s, and possibly dipping down to the 40s at night. It is July. It is the high time of summertime. But we are in the mountains, and the mountains tend to have a different weather pattern than anything else. And so, it's always hope for the best and plan for the worst. So when I say that, you hope for short sleeve days and shorts, but we plan for the worst, where we have our fleecy layers, we have our rain gear, and everything. So we're hoping for those 70, 80 days and bluebird days, but we'll plan for rain and and cold temps as well too.
Cool. Meredith has a question. I'm assuming no cell phone, no charge, wondering about contacting the kids back home or to just enjoy the quiet.
Well, it is an opportunity to go out there and unplug. And at this day and age where we have an overabundance of technological gadgets all around us, it's a rarity where we could just unplug for 1 week and not worry about it. I recognize that cell phones nowadays as people's go-to camera, and the iPhones take fantastic photos. If you are bringing your phone out there for the camera, I would say just put it on airplane mode, put it on low battery mode, and it should last all week long. You can bring a little itty bitty charger with you that gives you 1 or 2 charges. You're not going to get any cell phone coverage out there, but if you do need to, if there's, I tell people that if something happens back home, that they need to get in touch with us in the field. We set up an emergency protocol where they'll call our manager on call, right? And our manager on call will leave a message on my cell phone, which I check via sat phone. So I'll check it every 24 to 36 hours. And if there's a message saying, hey, so-and-so needs to call home, then we just hand that cell phone over, or the sat phone, and they can contact home and take care of whatever needs to be taken care of.
And also I would add that with the charging, those lights that have USB, you can charge. So if you're just looking to use it for a camera and you don't have one of those little extra charge thingies, you can use the light too. So that's kind of nice.
Yeah. And then if you're really, really anxious about it, because I know Meredith has some young kids, there are, and just sometimes I jog my memory as far as what the company is called, that they do have, a texting thing where you can sign up for a plan, and it's like a satellite text, and it can pinpoint your location, and you can pay a monthly fee for something like that. I'm forgetting what it's called.
It's called Garmin InReach.
Yes.
And we bring that out there with us as well too, because they're more reliable than a sat phone. Sat phone, you need 3 satellites to get a signal. The Garmin InReach, you just need 1 satellite, and you Bluetooth it through your phone, and you can just text through your phone. And that's another way to correspond back to people back home.
Yeah. Cool. I hope that answered your question, Meredith. So thinking about emergency protocol, you basically just said what the emergency protocol is, but say we have an emergency in the field, of course, you and I would know when it's time for an evacuation, but maybe just kind of go through some of the big reasons we would evacuate or call a rescue or something like that.
Medical emergencies is one of the top reasons for backcountry evacuation, and depending upon the severity of the injury or the medical emergency, it's dependent upon how the evac's going to happen. If someone can walk out, we can evac them and walk them out. If they can't walk out, then the backcountry rangers might have to come on in with horses or whatnot and take that participant out via that way. Worst case scenario is possibly, yeah.
I would be a pretty epic rescue.
You're not getting hurt just for a horse ride.
I know, you don't get horse rescues. Just
but also, worst case scenario too is if it's an immediate evacuation and it's time sensitive, then a helicopter might need to be flown in as well too. So there's varying levels depending on the severity of the situation.
Okay. And then let's see. Susan's asking about bugs. So we had this retreat this past May. It was like we were in the Amazon jungle. It was horrible. The mosquitoes I know are not anything like that out. When I lived out in Wyoming, I didn't think that mosquitoes were a big issue. It's pretty dry out there. Would you both agree with that for the most part?
Yeah. I definitely agree with that. The times I've done the backpacking trips in Yellowstone, the bugs were minimal, which is fantastic. And it's nothing like Maine. I grew up in Massachusetts, so I know the Maine summers where it's quite hectic, but the bugs are more minimal, that time of year.
I feel like basically Wyoming, Idaho, and Montana have the best weather for summer ever. Like, just dry.
Yeah.
And then at nighttime, you don't even need to turn your air conditioning on.
Yeah, it's a dry heat, so there's no humidity out here, which is fantastic. The nights are quite relaxing and enjoyable, and they cool down at night, which is really nice. We'll be in the mountains in Yellowstone, so it'll be cooler temps at nighttime, which will be really nice. It's not going to be like 70 degrees and humid at nighttime, and then during the day, it might get up to 80, 85, depending on what the weather's doing. But it's a dry heat; and it's not humid, so it's quite doable.
Yeah, as someone who was born and lived in the Midwest until I was like 21, I very much appreciate no humidity, and that it gets so nice and cool at night, and you just you get cool enough that you want to get in your sleeping bag and you want to get a little bit cozy, and I really love that myself. So yeah.
Absolutely. So I know that we need to address going to the bathroom in the woods. I'll let you take it away. If anybody has lady questions about that, the feminine aspect of that, feel free to just message me personally. So we don't necessarily have to talk about that, but it's a leave no trace. You're packing in, packing out, so you can kind of infer what that means. But go on with the number 2 talk. The things that
they're
going to talk about poop.
Poop.
Yeah.
There's a lot of anxiety for a lot of folks about going to the bathroom in the backcountry. Some fear it, and others actually quite enjoy it. And in essence, what we basically do, there's no outhouses, there's no toilets, there's no nothing. And what we do is we utilize the cat hole method, right? And we dig a cat hole. A cat hole is 6 inches deep, 6 inches wide. You squat on over it. You do your business. As you're doing your business, you are given the best bathroom wallpaper that you ever see in your life. And it's ever changing too. If you don't like it, just do it 180 and look at the other way. And it's for some, people quite enjoy it, and others it's something they don't want to repeat. But that's going to the bathroom in the backcountry. And at the trailhead, I give this huge poop talk, and what to do, how to do it, and all that, and everything is, I get a little more detail about it when we're at the trailhead.
Can I add something to that? Just one of the things that I think people often don't expect, or maybe just aren't aware can become a problem, is that if you're someone that needs a certain amount of routine in order to be really regular and to then be comfortable, it might not be a bad idea to bring something that could be mildly laxative in case you find yourself there's people that are nervous poopers and that get really uncomfortable about that, and so they struggle with doing that part of the daily routine. So that's just something to think about. If you think that you might not be completely comfortable with that whole situation, it might be good to just bring something that can help with that.
A little stronger coffee and some Fiber One bars.
Yes.
Yeah. Or some tea. Maybe this is TMI, but my last job, I traveled internationally a lot, and that became a really common situation I find myself in when you fly for 24 hours straight and you're just sitting in the airport or on the plane. I realized there's some really good herbal teas out there that are not too strong, but they just do what you need to do. And it makes a huge difference. I won't travel without those anymore because there's not a lot of things that make you more uncomfortable really than not being able to go. So yeah.
I remember that I have a digestive aid tea that I think it would be perfect for what you're talking about. And I remember for me, sometimes also the change in diet. that, people are used to having like, maybe 3 meals a day and like they're full protein, vegetable, whatever. And we're going to change the diet for those 5 days. And for me, when I did my Knowles program and we were out there for, 21 straight days, it took me probably 4 days for my body to adjust to what we were doing as well. So it might freak you out a little. Maybe you don't go to the bathroom at first because your body's getting used to it. And if it doesn't happen in all 5 days, then we should probably be a little worried. But absolutely.
Yeah. That's just like such an easy way to fix that problem, because 4 days of that, I can't even imagine how uncomfortable. I mean, not a lot of fun. So hopefully that's helpful.
But I will say that pooping for me in the outdoors, I mean, if anybody's ever gone to any sports game, if you've ever gone to any festival, any concert, even like a crowded bar, pooping in the woods is just so much better than that. Like I would go outside and poop outside instead of go poop at a bar. So, I mean, who's really pooping at bars? I guess we shouldn't. Maybe that's too TMI. But if it happens, you like public restrooms are way grosser than going to the bathroom in the woods.
I love that Lars's whole conversation about this was very like understated and like kind of genteel. And we are both just like jumping into the poop conversation. Like, let's talk about this. Let's not leave it.
What you guys are doing at it right now, so I'll just let you guys.
Yeah, let's take it away. Yeah. I guess maybe we can leave it there, I suppose. If you have more questions about that, our protocol as far as, how far we want to make sure that we're 100 feet away from water sources, that we aren't going to the bathroom, more than one time in the same cat hole, and dispersing. Maybe you could talk a little bit more about that, Lars.
Yeah, that sort of goes along the lines of like leave no trace, philosophy. And, one of those is, peeing and pooping, I think it's 200 feet away from water. And so we always wanted to keep that in mind because we will be camping next to rivers, camping next to lakes. So, I tell people 200 feet, I tell them 200 feet out of sight, out of mind. People gone 200 feet, I can say, like, I still see you, But we will be utilizing leave no trace, philosophy while we're out there, camp, in durable places and hike on durable surfaces, leave what you find, leaving the wildlife alone, appreciating them at a distance. So, but with going to the bathroom, we definitely want to be aware that we're away from the water.
Yeah. And toilet paper will be okay to put in the cat hole.
Yes.
And ideally, we're going to take as much toilet paper as we can, but we don't want to overload ourselves with toilet paper. So for ladies, for going pee, try to do a shake it dry kind of.
For ladies, there's always the handkerchief method, where you have your bandana and it's called a pee rag, and you use it, but you tie it to the top of your pack, and while you're hiking, the UV rays, will kill most of what's on the rag. And so, a lot of ladies that I hike with, they use their pee rag.
Yeah, because it is important to maintain everybody's hygiene. But we will have a river, so we will be able to swim and things like that, and water if anybody really needs to feel clean, and take a little bath in that way if you need to. But yes, the pee rag totally works, and I definitely use that.
Yeah, and everyone has a different tolerance to what I call the funk, because we're gonna get funky out there, we're gonna get dirty, and some people, they have a lower tolerance to it, and they need to bathe every day, and that's fine, that's perfect. You can do that. If you're gonna bring some soap, make sure it's eco-friendly, biodegradable soap. There's soap out there called Camp Suds that's made for this, and then you could bathe every single day and just bring a little camp towel with you to dry off with. Others who have a higher tolerance to the funk, like myself, I usually don't shower until I get to the hotel room after the end of the trip. So it's all about your tolerance and what your level of comfort is.
And eventually, it's just we all smell, and it's just kind of a.
We're all gonna smell out there. Yeah, we're all gonna get funky. We're all gonna get smelly and get grubby and get all backcountry on.
It's kind of
one little thing that's kind of a hack, I guess you could say, that if you are maybe not wanting to bring all the stuff to take a shower, but you maybe want to be a little cleaner, is bringing wet wipes.
That's a
and
good.
I mean, keeping those in like a baggie or something after you use them, or if we have a fire, you can burn them. But I lived off the grid for like 8 years, and we at one point I went like a month without a shower because it was just easier. And it's amazing what you can do with the wet wipes. So yeah, they're really handy, I would say.
The poor man's shower, the wet wipes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Putting your hair in braids, just like put it away. And Yep.
The braids are a great choice.
Susan has another question. We can swim in the rivers or quick dip. Absolutely. And then she asked, if safe?
Yeah.
And,
Obviously, we're not going to put you in the river where it's rushing white water, but we'll find a nice area that's eddy where the water's calmer and that you guys can go swimming. So, yeah.
Yeah. Cool. And then just thinking about our logistics as far as, people are going to fly into Jackson and we're going to stay at a hotel there.
Yep.
And then just going to talk about how the logistics of how all that will work.
Yeah, so everyone's going to touch down on Sunday, I believe, and we'll pick you guys up from the airport, get you guys to the hotel, the lodging. We're staying at the Virginian Lodge there in downtown Jackson, and then we'll probably, when we get there and everybody's there, what we'll do is like the duffel shuffle, and we'll take everything from your travel bags, right? And whatever's going on the trip, we're gonna, put in our backpacks and pack our packs up and everything. And everything that's not going on the trip is going to stay in your travel bag and get locked up into the vehicle while we're off on the trail. And then the next morning, bright and early, it's about an hour and a half drive to the trailhead, right? And then we start our hike. We start going on in. And then Monday through Friday, right, we're out in the country. And then we'll come on out. We'll get back to the trailhead. And then we'll drive to another different lodging that you have set up. And drop you guys off there and have our long-awaited showers and long-awaited toilets.
Yeah. And then we'll go off. We'll have another 2 days staying out there. We're staying in Teutonia. How do you say it?
I think it's Teutonia, yeah.
Teutonia. Yeah, we're staying in Teutonia, which is about 45 minutes outside of Jackson Hole, and then we'll do our thing after that. Cool. So if there aren't any other questions that anybody has at the moment, is there anything that you guys can think of that we haven't touched on, or anything, Sarah, that you want to talk a little bit about?
I guess I would like to emphasize that kind of my style or my approach to photography is always that I want to get pictures of real people doing real things, doing awesome things. And so I feel like I don't want anyone to feel like they need to feel pressured or like they need to look a certain way. I just want people to really feel comfortable knowing that, when you're taking photos, you're always going to end up with some where people have, they're making a weird expression, or they're maybe in just a position that's like not going to look the best, but that always in there are going to be photos where you really capture somebody's heart and their soul, and like they look like they're just, that is what's showing, and that's what we're looking for.
Yeah.
That real spark or that real part of who they are. So I just want people to feel really comfortable with that. Yeah.
And I am so excited that you're going to be there, because this will be the third bigger backcountry retreat that I've run. And I think what is difficult is capturing those moments, especially when you're leading it and you're in it, and having you be there to capture that experience is going to be really special. So that'll be really wonderful. And you have a wealth of knowledge yourself. So it's, so many people to be able to guide us and be out there together. So I'm really excited.
Yeah, I'm so excited too. So thank you.
Cool.
Yeah.
Anything from you, Lars? Anything you can think of?
Just a couple of things, I guess, off the top of my head. If you're buying new gear for this trip, if you're going on this trip or you're thinking about going on a trip and you're going to buy a new pair of hiking boots, start breaking them in now. The number one, medical, not emergency, but issue that we have out there is blisters on brand new boots. And so if you're out there and you're thinking about going on the trip or you're on the trip and you have new boots, start breaking them in now, start wearing them, wear them to work, wear them wherever you go. And if you're, excuse me, if you do need new gear for this trip and you don't want to break the bank, I always send people over to SierraTradingPost.com. They got all the name brands, Harbor, Patagonia, Marmot, everything from 30 to 70% off, and you won't break the bank, shopping on that site. And so everything you need on the breaking your boots, there you go. So just go to that site.
Camp Saver is good too.
What's that?
I was just going to add Camp Saver.
Camp Saver is
another good.
And
yeah,
Mountain
another really good one.
I think Mountain Steels is another great one too, as well too. So there's you don't go to REI and pay full price for everything. There's ways that you can go budget on this trip if you're interested in going on the trip.
Yeah, absolutely. And I guess I would say that if people do have questions on what to buy and what not to buy, definitely send me an email, and I can send you a full gear list of what we will have and what you need to bring. And something I like to think about are layering systems rather than, like a really bulky layer. It's really important to have, a mid layer and then something that goes over that, and buying things that can all fit into one really warm layer versus having lots of separate. And that's how you'll also be able to reduce your weight for this as well. So these are important pieces. Yeah, cool. So I think that's about it for now. I think that we can all come back together and chat more, maybe about gear next time, about tents maybe next time. If people are having questions, but thank you so much, guys, for coming on. Sierra, where are you located?
I also live in Sandpoint.
You both live?
I live in the same town. Yeah.
Cool.
Yep.
Wonderful. So coming from Idaho.
Yep.
For coming to chat, guys, and thank you everybody who tuned in on and on. And we're all excited to hang out with you. We only have 2 spots left. So today we had 2 spots get filled, and we only have 8 spots altogether for everyone because of permitting. So just 2 spots left, and they're going to just go to whoever gets them first. So email me and register ASAP. Awesome. Cool. All right. Bye, guys.
Bye.
For being here. All right. And